we go. Hey everybody, it's Eric alongside Rod here with another special guest, incoming 6'3", 180-pound combo guard, incoming freshman Jase Richardson. Jase, thanks so much for joining us on the Final Four on the schedule.
Of course.
Yeah, it was so great to have you back in East Lansing. I guess the first question before we get going is, obviously your dad played at Michigan State many years ago, which for you is back in the other millennium, right?
Yeah.
How much time do you spend in the MSU program? And did you ever spend time in camps and stuff? I mean, this has got to be the most time you spent in East Lansing.
Yeah. My very first experience ever being in East Lansing was the 10-year reunion of the national championship. It was here. They were playing Florida at home. It was my first time ever getting to experience in the Breslin and just all the fans. So that was definitely my first time experiencing it. Went to the Final Four when they went in 2019. Got to be around Coach. I was a young kid back then, but I've definitely been around the program a lot.
Yeah. So does your dad come back pretty routinely? And so do you travel back with him much, or how does that, do the guys usually bring their family with them?
Most of the time, I've been up here. I would say before I really became like a recruit for them. I've been up there about I think 3-4 times before I really became a recruit.
Okay. So then speaking about your dad, the sense we've had from the outside is that he wasn't very heavy-handed in your recruitment. Like it was going to be your decision. How did he approach it? Because that's got to be a tough thing to do. His feelings as a parent and a father, and then he's an alum. He played here, so he's got to have strong feelings about MSU as well.
Yeah, I feel like going into my recruitment process, once Michigan State got involved, he kind of backed off in a sense because beginning of my recruit process, it was more of like he was just being diligent and stuff like that. But once MSU came into the picture, he kind of just kind of backed off, let me like control it on my own, make my own decisions when it came to that point when I was cutting my list and then ultimately making my final decision.
Yeah, and did that surprise you at all? Or was it what
No.
you expected?
From him, no, because I feel like with him, he really wants us just me and my brother just to make decisions for ourselves and try to be the best person and best versions of ourselves.
So we can assume he's going to approach your brother's recruitment exactly the same way.
Exact same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you've been practice for a couple weeks or a little over a couple months now. What's it like in practice compared to high school and AU?
I feel like the energy the coaches bring. Feel like just college, all the coaches are invested. We're really getting after in practice. It's been really competitive when we go 5-on-5. The coaches bring relentless energy. Izzo, he's trying to make sure we're getting better every single day.
So speaking of Izzo, what's it like with him in practice? And is it a lot different than when he was on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, a lot different. Just a little bit. I feel like he's a little bit more get on you at these practices than he was on the recruitment.
So we always talk to players, and they mention that as far as recruiting, he was different than a lot of the other coaches and sort of how he recruited you. Did you get that feeling too? Was it like, and then if so how was he different?
For me, I feel like the biggest piece that made him a lot different than a lot of coaches was the way he approached the recruiting for me. For me being a former player, he didn't really bring that aspect into it. He really recruited me as my own person, aside from my dad. So that really stood out to me.
So then talking a little bit about your game, what do you think is your biggest strength right now? If you had to identify one thing as a player, what's the one thing you think you do best?
I feel like as of lately in the practices and then most of my time in high school, I feel like I was a really good playmaker. I feel like I can really make good decisions for the team when I'm on the ball because I've grown up playing point guard my whole life and kind of played the two guard last year for my senior year. So I feel like I can make really good ball decisions and give my teammates open shots.
And then the other end of it, obviously everybody comes in, even the highest rated recruits, with things they need to work on. What's the thing that's foremost in your mind as an area you want to improve this year?
I feel like just weight room, just being in there every day, lifting as much as I can. You know, Big Ten's a really physical conference, and we have a lot of big guards in our conference. So just getting bigger, getting stronger, getting ready for the physicality.
But do you? Because I have to say, from what I've observed watching you play, even in AAU last year, you look like you're capable of handling the Big Ten physically as a freshman, which not everybody is. As you've been going through practices at Michigan State, you're kind of concerned about that, or is it more about you just want to get stronger to be even better?
I feel like just getting stronger. I feel like just putting more muscle on, just getting bigger, stronger. I feel like I would be able to be a much better player.
Can you feel that and notice that difference, like when you're just in practice, that you feel like, boy, I'm really a freshman and these guys are a lot bigger and tougher?
I would say first 2 weeks, definitely the first 2 weeks.
And then, so as you mentioned, you played on the ball most of the time, but last year played a little bit off the ball. It's a loaded roster. There's all kinds of experienced players. What do you see your role this year? Where do you see yourself playing, I guess?
I would say for this team, I feel like we just have a lot of talent, especially at the guard position with Jeremy, Jaden, Frankie, Trey, Kerr. I feel like we have a lot of guard talent this year that can really be really beneficial. So for me, just try to get in any way I can, play defense, be a leader, try to be as vocal as I can as a freshman, and just try to help my team win.
Do you like the competition? Because I imagine it wasn't always that way every place you've played, where, before it was probably easy to get on the court, and now it's gonna be it's gonna be tough.
I definitely enjoy it because learning from guys like Trey, Jaden, they've all been through it, and they're all just kind of guiding me through, helping me, giving me tips, guides, and just trying to help me get better too as a player.
Yeah, I feel like with Trey especially, you guys sort of are similar in that, he came in, he's sort of was seen as a backup point guard, and then last year he played a lot off the ball too, and he expanded his role. I mean, I see that's probably similar to what you kind of envision your role going forward too.
100%. Just seeing how Trey progressed this past season, it was amazing to watch.
Did you watch the team a lot? I mean, obviously you're being recruited by a bunch of teams. I mean, did you watch most Michigan State games, or how exactly do you follow along with the team?
So last year I committed before the season started, and
Oh, that's
then
right. Yeah.
yeah, once the season started, I watched every game. I didn't miss one. So I was super invested. I watched the game from start to finish. I was invested.
So you mentioned Kerr a second ago, and then there's also Jesse McCullough, who's part of your class. How we just talked to Jesse the other day, but I was curious how you feel about it. How tight is your group, the three of you, coming in together? Are you feeling like a strong bond between the three of you?
Oh, 100%. I feel like once we all kind of got our commitments right, everybody was ready, locked in, ready to go. Started a group chat. Been texting ever since. And then once we got up here, we kind of just us three just kind of been around each other a lot, and I feel like it's really been helping us, and we've been really bonding these past couple months.
Yeah. Who were some of the people that were important to you on the team when you were being recruited by Michigan State? Who'd you spend a lot of time with when you were visiting?
I spent a lot of time with the whole team, but I feel like mostly the person I was with the most was probably Jeremy. Jeremy and
Okay.
yeah, on my visit, I was around Jeremy a lot, just getting a sense of him because him being McDonald's All American, top point guard in the country. Just talking to him, learning from him, seeing why he made his decision, kind of like helped me, and it just getting a bond with him and then getting a bond with the rest of the team really made it official for me.
That's actually brings up another thing I wondered about. With recruitments of top players such as yourselves, oftentimes it seems like guys are looking for the quickest path to big minutes and a big role. So they want to see a situation where there's an open position they can step right into. You obviously did anything but that, as we talked about with the depth in guards, especially at Michigan State. What was your thinking in that? Because a lot of guys would have gone another way.
I think for me, I just felt like this was a place I could really see myself grow and become a better player. Izzo's been doing a phenomenal job with his guards and just developing them. For me, my era, it was watching Cassius Winston play all 4 years. So for me, I felt like he would definitely help me get better and try to help me get to that next level. And then from the older guys, they definitely push me every day to get better.
And so, been there for a while now. What has surprised you most about either the program, practices, East Lansing? What are your thoughts?
Probably how close this team is already.
Yeah.
I feel like once we got into the practices, I mean, we got 3 freshmen and 2 new transfers. We didn't know how fast we were going to click together, but I would say first week and a half, we really clicked, and it's been like a family ever since.
Yeah, that's universally what we hear from everybody as far, the family, it feels like a family, those sorts of things. Yeah. I guess, going on a trip to Spain soon, as we're recording this, I think it'll come out after you guys already have left, but are you looking forward to it? Have you been to Spain before?
I've been to Spain 2 times in my past. I went to Madrid when I was younger and Barcelona. So going back, that's going to be fun, but this is going to be a whole different experience because I'm playing against top competition.
And you don't speak Spanish, I suppose, right? Or
Oh, I'm fluent.
are you really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're out from out in Vegas, right? Yeah. So yeah, very good. But you don't speak Catalans, right? But you can at least know what the players are saying. You'll surprise them. They won't expect you to know.
Exactly. That's why I told the team. I said, if you guys need any help out there, I got you. I'm your guy.
Do you guys have any sense of the kind of teams you're going to be playing? Because sometimes on these European trips, it's hard to know. Like you end up playing teams that are lower tier professional teams. Do you have any sense of the competition?
Not yet. I mean,
Not
coach
yet.
yeah, we haven't got any like information on that yet. We just know we're just going to be out there playing a couple games.
Right. Getting back to adjusting to playing at Michigan State as part of the program, one of the things we hear frequently from guys when they first come in is, particularly in regard to the transition game, that they thought they knew what working hard was and what running hard was. And then they got to Michigan State with Coach Izzo and they learned it was something else.
Yeah.
Have you started to experience that already?
Yeah, literally just this past Friday, we've been working a lot on our transition as of lately, and we're really trying to get that thing moving as fastly as possible. So for me, I'm usually running the 1 with a different group. They had me run the 2 with a group, and that running baseline to baseline, no joke.
Hitting those lanes, yeah.
Yeah, you really got to sprint down there, or coach is gonna be on you.
How is it defending that too? Because you're obviously you're playing the other way too. That's got to be brutal.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty tough. Again, if you score, you really can't, take a minute to catch your breath or anything. You really got to get back down and hurry up and get back in the stance before we score in like 5 seconds. So I feel like that's really going to help us this year. Just try to get teams out of sorts.
Yeah, and I watched you play in Moneyball a couple weeks ago, and I mean, what are your impressions of Moneyball? And then, well, I'll let you answer that question first, then I'll follow up with them.
I would say it's fun to play in. Just having people there really come watch us play, and defense selective game. It's been really fun. But once those games get into like 4th quarter, and if it's still close, there'll be some defense played, and that's where I really enjoy the game the most.
Yeah. Is there some aspect of your game you're kind of working on with that, or are you just kind of just working on whatever you worked on that day, or sort of, that you're trying to sort of develop a little bit more?
I'll probably say, well, the days where we have practice or something heavy and I'm a little bit tired, I'll try to work on try to get more shots up on that day because we're going to be tired during the season. So I feel like just working on that, getting my legs into my shot on the days we're tired, we're lifting heavy. I feel like that's a key piece. And then just being explosive, getting to the basket. I feel like that's another thing I've just been working on too.
Yeah. The day I was there, I think, I can't remember what Garrick's team is, but he seems kind of like a pest. Like they were playing full court press the whole game.
Yeah,
Was
they
that
were
against your
pressing.
team? Was that your team they were playing?
I'm pretty sure. I remember the exact day. Was it us?
That was like
I
last
remember, I don't
Thursday or
know, but I
something.
remember that double teaming and full court pressing the whole
Yeah.
game. I remember
It was
that.
like 20 steals or something. It was crazy. They must
Oh,
have
they
been,
were playing.
were
They
they
were
playing Kerr's
playing.
team?
I'm pretty sure it was Kerr's team, Kerr or
Yeah.
Jesse's team. It was one of the two.
Yeah. That must be really annoying to be like, I'm sure you guys practiced that day. And then,
Yeah, we definitely did. And then seeing that, I was like, I don't know how they got the energy for that. That's crazy.
So maybe sticking with the Moneyball theme for a second, one of the big attractions the last couple of years for fans has been the Coen Carr show. Now, you grew up in a house with the guy I would still say is the greatest dunker in Michigan State history. He's the best I've ever seen. Other taking your dad out of it, is Coen the best dunker you've ever been around?
I would say yes. I
Yeah.
mean, I got a house full of jumpers. My little brother, he does crazy stuff too. That obviously dad, and then I know a couple others that jump out, but I would say Coen is probably one of. I might put him over my dad. And Coen does
Wow.
he does some really crazy stuff that I've never seen somebody do in a game or just in a game setting. Is crazy to watch.
See, that's where I'd probably be inclined to give your dad the edge, because I saw him do so many of those things in games. Forget the NBA, just his 2 years at Michigan State. Just crazy, like reverse dunks off rebounds, off missed free throws, just crazy stuff. Cohen's done some, but I don't think we've seen quite as much yet. Or maybe it's that they don't seem as big because the two teams your dad played on obviously won almost everything. And Coen hasn't quite gotten there yet. Hopefully this year.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be able to pull out some tricks this year. I'm really hoping he does, because some of the stuff I see him do in practice is just I just gotta sit there and awe for a little bit. I'm like, he really just did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was us most of last year for sure. One of the things that Michigan State has really struggled with the last few years is rebounding, and we've always talked on the show that we think one of the big problems is the rebounding at the guard position has not been that as good. And I don't know what your assessment is last year. You don't need to answer that, but do you feel like there's an emphasis this season that they're really pushing you guys as guards to get after the ball a little bit more than the past?
Oh, 100%. I feel like that's one of the main things we kind of harp on in practice, is making sure we're all crashing the glass. We're all trying to get a board. Everybody's crashing, get a rebound so we can get out and push. For me, I would say rebounding's kind of been most of my thing during high school. I feel like I would crash the glass a lot, especially offensively, because I feel like I'm able to get tip dunks and put back. So I feel like rebounding's been a big part of what I'm going to do. And then just harping on it every day, I feel like the whole team's going to start getting involved.
So how do they talk to you about, trying to maintain that floor balance where you're not crashing too much and then not being able to get back, or getting back and not attacking the boards? I mean, what sort of the mentality they try and teach you, or how do they ask you to balance those two sort of aspects?
Probably just the communication part. I feel like they harp on us kind of about communicating with their teammates, telling them who's crashing, who's not, who's getting back. So I feel like they would say the communication is the huge part of that.
Well, before we go, I got to ask you, since it just came out a couple days ago, College Football 25. Have you started dynasties or anything like that with any teams?
It's on my TV
I
right
thought
now.
I saw it behind you.
Yeah. I'm about to get on after this. I'm not gonna lie.
My son has been playing golf, and then he gets back, and he just graduated from high school, and so then he's just in the basement playing that for hopelessly. His seasons have not gone well. He's started with Michigan State this year, and he's struggled, to say the least. He's had some upsets, but he's gotten beaten by some. Which teams have you picked, and what sort of mode are you playing?
I've been kind of playing online as of lately, just playing against other players. I've been using MSU a little bit, trying to change up the playbook. Can't get a lot of wins right now, so we got to fix that. I think it's the run game. I got to get it better. But I've been playing this nonstop.
I watched my son play, and basically all he was is getting sacked or throwing interceptions. He tried to play Iowa, so my wife is from Iowa, so he picked Iowa, and they're hopeless. So don't pick them. And he also tried to do Dynasty with Central Michigan, which is really, almost possible with the transfer portal.
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
And let's last question, which is more back to basketball a little bit. So There are obviously recruitments, they're all working right now for next year. Are you involved in that at all? Like, do you reach out to players that, are targeted by the coaching staff? Do they tell you? Because I know it seemed like Jeremy Fears sort of had his finger in every pot, sort of, getting a hold of people. Yeah, you're laughing because I think that's everybody's experience. He was recruiting as much as anybody else, but, do they involve you guys or just say, hey, this person's looking? How does that work?
Well, first on the Jeremy part, that is spot on. I feel like Jeremy's basically a mini coach when it comes to this recruiting process. But as of late, they've just been telling us, these are guys we're kind of looking at. So make sure, like, because they're coming on visits soon. So just make sure you get to know them, interact with them, and then once they come out here, make sure you're interacting and talking to them as well.
And that obviously mattered to you because you felt comfortable just coming in. You sort of knew half the team really well when you came in and showed up, right?
Yeah, I just felt like once I came in, I was talking to Booker, Fears, Garrett, Coen. I felt like just coming here, I was like already kind of comfortable, already like talking to the team.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jase Richardson, freshman from Michigan State. Thanks so much for coming on the Final Fours on the schedule. And then just a reminder for all our sponsors, make sure you check out our sponsor page at thefinalfoursontheschedule.com/support. You find ways to get a hold of the brothers at Just Your Gutters if you need gutter work done in the West Michigan or East side of the state. They can give you 15 or 10% off if you just mention Final Four when you get your order. The best way to take care of your water offside your roof, which Jason doesn't have to worry about. And out in Vegas, you didn't have to worry about it either. I mean, it was pretty much when it rained, it was just a flood. And then, and then also the nudge printing for all your Spartan apparel. You can get 20% off. You mentioned Final Four. Just type that in one word in checkout. Final Four that's nudgeprinting.com for all your Spartan apparel. Great stuff. That's what I'm wearing right now for our shirt. And then check out the Swedish Squad of Grand Rapids. If you need to clean the glass, like Jason's going to have to do from the guard position, make sure you get the hold of them. And they're out in the West Michigan area. Obviously, they can clean your glass, wash the side of your house, whatever you need done. 15% off if you mention Final Four. And finally, the Christian Brothers of Automotive of Grand Rapids, they can get you $40 off at an oil change. And they have 4 locations in the Grand Rapids area. So again, Jase Richardson, thanks so much for coming on the Final Fours and schedule. And until next time, the Final Four is on the schedule. Go green.